There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small. Some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the one and only Road America circuit. We are 17 minutes in the qualifying. Time's been pushed forward on us tonight for this round. Supercheap Auto East Coast V8 Series. I'm John Van Ree. With me is Mark Duggan. How are you, Mark?
Very good, John. Always happy to be back at Road America. Fantastic track for the V8 supercars, and going to be some pretty hotly contested racing tonight, I think.
And that's not that track. Something's happened to my track there. Anyway, we'll keep carrying on. Yeah, very hotly contested. I do have some championship points we can have a look at. So after 8 rounds, so round 9, of course, getting towards the pointy end of the season, James Scott is sitting on 976 points. A good little buffer from Paul Young. In 950 points from Phase 4 Motorsports. Blake Warboy's not with us tonight due to moving house. He's just in front of Tim Mulford. Tim's picked away very well this season. And then we've got Christian Smart, Brenton Hobson, Harrison Dengate in 7th, Kenny Latta, Jordan Ross in 9th, and Michael Taliancic in 10th. So we are definitely getting at the pointy end. It'll be interesting to see if James Scott can get the job done again tonight. Looking at the qualifying board with just over 11 minutes to go. James is well in front by 0.35 of a second from Hobbo, but Jordan Ross very closely behind, only 800ths of a second behind. And then Kenneth Latta hanging on to that pack, and then leading the 9.5 SimSport charge is Bradley Radu. And then we've got Briggsy, Paul Young, the man who switched to Phase 4 Motorsports last week. And then Michael Whiting from Fishy Motorsports, Tim Mulford, and then Sean Rigby rounds out our top 10. So good to see Sean that high up on the order at the moment. As talked about in the intro, we are running a little bit earlier tonight than normal. This is due to, excuse me, this is due to the week 13 updates with iRacing. So that's upset a few people. Hobbo, does it go any quicker here? Goes a little bit quicker, goes to 2:06.79. Yeah, so we're still doing our usual race distance, not changing anything with that. No, so we're still running our 43 laps here at Road America. And then after that, the boys should be finished by 10 o'clock when the iRacing server will update with all the new toys coming for season 3. So, how about
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark.
Sorry, John. Yeah, big update coming tonight for the iRacing platform. Probably not a lot in the way of V8s. I believe there's a new track coming as well, so that'll be interesting. Hopefully it'll be a track that suits the V8s, and but no track gets better than this for V8 racing, I don't believe. Road America is one of my all-time favourite tracks.
Absolutely. Nothing greater than going down into Canada Corner. Great to have you there in the chat, Dave Bulldog. We know this is your all-time favourite track as well, mate, so great to have you there. And Steve Murray as well. And of course, Canada Corner famously gets its name. Not too many people know the story behind that, but it famously gets its name from the first race meeting they had here at the circuit. And the cleaning up after the race, they noticed that it was Canadian alcohol bottles in Canadian cigarette packets down at the corner. So the corner got its name, Canada Corner. So very interesting story, that one. There's clock ticking down. A big shout out to Matty Monday as well. Here to have a look at how the big fish is getting on. He's sitting in 8th at the moment. Michael Whiting. Of course, a big shout out to the Fishy boys. Had a huge effort on the weekend, putting 2 cars. I think they finished very high. I think they finished second or third and 5th, I think, in their split for the Le Mans 24-hour race with majors. So that's a cracking effort just to finish that race. Plenty of banter along the way. Jordan Ross on a slow out lap here. So everyone's starting to get ready for their final attack at the circuit, I think.
Yeah, just inside the last 8 minutes. A few people still haven't set a time. Cameron Jones is one of them. Really watching Cam, and he's having a few troubles keeping on the island at the moment, but he's a pretty competitive guy, so I expect Cam to get out there and set a good time. Not a huge field tonight. We're at about 19 drivers. Early start probably thrown a few people off, but we've got some real quality in here, so I think we'll enjoy some pretty good racing. And yeah, welcome back to a few drivers that have been missing for a little while too.
Yeah, definitely a few. Harrison Dengate here on track trying to set a time. Big shout out to Joshy Barella as well in the chat in Facebook. So a few boys definitely trying to get that time set. Another one, Michael Whiting. So big thing though, that track temperature, 52 degrees Celsius. So the ambient temperature is 25, but it is obviously summer in the States and it is cooking. So, and being corrected by Matty Monday, it was both cars were in split 7. They finished 3rd and 5th, which is a sensational effort. Yeah, so 52 degrees on the circuit. That is hot. Partly cloudy as well.
Fry an egg on that one, John.
Yeah, Ash did ask if I had my egg gif that I used to use in the first couple of seasons of East Coast broadcasts, and I said we've matured since then. Mind you, I did have some special gifs being played in the Veterans broadcast on last Friday night. Having a bit of fun with the orange SSR car. Love your work, Pete.
Yeah, big finish to the vet season last week, and got some worthy champions across all 3 splits, and yeah, vets in hibernation for a couple of weeks with pre-qualifying coming up, but we also have some big news with season 7 being announced for East Coast, and entries are open, I believe.
Yeah, the entries are open for season 7 of East Coast, and we are having a Super 2 series being run in conjunction with the Pro Series. So one race, but 2 championships. Going to be epic to watch. So basically the Pro Series will be regular split 1 guys and split 1 guys of Scops and Pro Series drivers, and then the amateur or the split 2 boys will be the guys that haven't competed in either event, and that'll create a bit of interest, I think, for the guys midfield to the back. And you know, if you're down towards the back of the pack here, it does look like a long way to James Scott in terms of a battle. But if you're battling somebody who's in 10th instead of 1st, at least it means you can have a bit of fun and get out there.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to introduce a Pro-Am segment for the guys, you know, from the mid-pack down. It gives them a championship of their own to race for, and I think, yeah, it'll add some spiciness to the racing in the mid-pack. Not that we're lacking that anyway. The battles are hard fought from the very front all the way to last spot on the grid, and it's like that week in, week out. There's no givens anywhere here.
No, absolutely, and some big names already signed up as well, and some big teams. Vermeulen Motorsports, Kai Allen is entered. We also have a couple of other guys. I think we've got Oliver Patterson from Vermeulen as well. We have Rizzo from TTR, which would be very exciting, having the TTR synergy battle coming here at East Coast. Be looking forward to seeing how that plays out. And Stephen Murray in the chat asking, does this mean Roy Clark will be back? I think the highlight reels will be looking for Roy Clark to be back, so hopefully. Yeah, so definitely some new teams as well already signed up, 20 drivers. I think we're taking a maximum capacity of 58. So if you haven't signed up yet, get in quick. Don't want to miss out on entering the season. There should be more information available on our Facebook page, or if you're interested, if I can make modern technology work for us, there's a link, should be in Facebook and Discord. Sorry, Facebook and, no, this disappeared. No, it's back again. It showed up in YouTube. So that's good. So about to finish here, James Scott back in the pits. He's got this covered. Hobbo in second, Ross in third, Radu. He's leading the 9.5 SimSport charge at the moment. And he's on his out lap, so we'll see what he can do. Hopefully he can get around in time to get around.
Cam Jones finally set a lap. He's currently sitting in P7, which is good to see him finally get a timed lap in. Just going back to Season 7, John, it's a cracking looking calendar for Season 7. Red Bull Ring, Watkins Glen Blute, Imola, Belle Isle, Donington, Oschersleben, Barcelona, Sandown, Road Atlanta, Supercheap Auto, Bathurst 1000, Phillip Island, Daytona Road, Long Beach. That is a great calendar.
Yeah, it's a calendar that's been developed by some of the 9.5 boys and some of the SSR boys. I sat down with Ash and said, this is what we need to do. And then just to have that jewel in the crown of the Supercheap Auto Bathurst 1000. Really looking forward to that. And speaking with Ash this week, it's going to be a retro round as well for paints, and paints from only during the Supercheap's era of Bathurst. So looking forward to seeing everybody decked out for that one. As Brad Radu, he's really on a flyer. And coming through the carousel, you can already hear Dave Worrell in the background saying that's not a carousel. Into the King. This is one of my favourite corners. Gotta hit that at full speed. Then down into Canada.
Great to see Bradley Radu back in a V8, and he's steering it with some real aggression, and he's a great driver, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing him back in the V8 full time.
Yeah, he is an epic driver at this place, and he's gone into the pits. He's bailed on me. Still got Rick Knetzel. I'm not sure whether Rick's been out and did 7 laps. He still hasn't got a time on the board, so I'm not sure what the go is there. Damien Johnstone. He was one of the last men to get around before the clock, I believe.
If I recall correctly, I think we saw Rick do this last week at Virginia as well. Like, pretty much started rear of grid. I think Rick possibly testing his his skills at driving through the pack, and I think he finished 4th at Virginia last week. So yeah, he's probably just out there to have a bit of fun and just test his skills coming through the pack.
So Lobo's still sitting in second with Jordan Ross. Damien Johnstone, I think he's our last competitor on track, I think. Not sure if Melford got across the line in time, but we'll find that one out shortly. Absolutely flying is Damien. Gets it pulled up into Canada. Only just using all the width there. And up through Thunder Valley into the Bill Mitchell bend. Through the final corner and up the hill. Right, into the pits. He's bailed on that one. So we've got our grid, I believe. And that was, even though we only came in late, that was still a very interesting qualifying session. As Damien brings it into the pits, we've still got Seth Brown in 10th. So great drive from Seth. Looks like he's still on a bit of a flyer, eh? Giving it what for? Into the pits like I thought. And great looking fishy car there. Thomas Freeman and Hobson and Scott, the last two guys on track. So just waiting for the final time to tick down here, which shouldn't be too far away. And there it is. So let's jump on, have a look at our grid. And for some reason, it automatically goes straight to there. But anyway, we've got James Scott from Synergy Sim Racing on pole alongside Brenton Hobson, his teammate and current reigning champion, sitting alongside the leading champion, Scott. And then on the next row, we've got Jordan Ross from Synergy Sim Racing alongside Bradley Ratu from 95 Sim Sports. Row 3 sees Kenny Ladder and Adam Briggs. Great to see those two lining up, two of the Synergy boys. Then the next row, we've got Damien Johnstone in 7th. And then we've got the 019 car of Cameron Jones from 95 Sim Sports in 8th. 9th, we have the driver known as Paul Young from Phase 4 Motorsports alongside Seth Brown. And then we have Timmy Mulford and the big fish, Michael Whiting. And we move on to those with the next row. What's going on here? Button doesn't work now. It's working. Then after that, we have Sean Rigby in 13th alongside SSR's Christian Smart. Then we've got Simon Mesmo from 95 Sim Sports in 15th alongside WK&P's Harrison Dengate, who's just in front of Ash Barella from WK&P. Great qualifying from Ash. He'll be just tucked up behind H. And then alongside him, we've got Fishy Motorsports' Thomas Freeman. And then starting from rear of grid, we have the non-qualifier Rick Knetsov from 95 Sim Sports. You can see how far he charges through the field. And then we've got race control with Seb and Dave Worrell. And then our safety car driver is the illustrious Richard Barella. That is our grid for tonight. 19 cars. Looking forward to seeing what these boys can get up to. So starting to get on the grid. Just waiting for the boys to make their way. Of course, we've got going to have two Synergy Sim drivers, three Synergy Sim Racing drivers in the top 3 spots. And really looking forward to seeing how these guys tackle this course.
Just thought I heard some talk then with only 2 tyre sets available to drivers. So starting set and 1 set in a pit stop. So that's going to make it interesting on a 52-degree track for these boys.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I didn't mention that one, did I? I should quickly run through while we can. The track conditions that we're up against here. And as Mark said, we've got 2 compulsory pit stops with 2 sets of tyres, 25 limit incident points, unlimited fuel, 1 fast repair, and of course we've got this hot track state, which is the natural track state for time of day. So these boys just about be ready to go here, I think. But yeah, that tyre set, having to carry 1 set of tyres is going to be interesting. As we've got the lights coming on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are away. James Scott. He's got the jump. He's bogged it a little bit, but he's okay. Hobbo on the outside. Here comes Jordan Ross. They're going to swallow him up a little bit. As Hobbo moves across nicely, blocks Scott and gets away with it. Jordan Ross in 3rd. Radu. We're seeing a little bit of a shuffle down. Cameron Jones has gone back a spot. Looks like most of the boys are going to make it through pretty safely. as they file down now towards the marine sweep. And the field definitely all trying to hide and duck and drake into that slipstream pretty early here. Looks like we've got one or two making some moves, 3 wide. Looks like we're all going to get through again. Very difficult part of the track with undulation change. And Kenny Ladder there looking a little bit unsettled.
He made a dive past Bradley Radu into turn 5 there, and then just got a little bit unsettled trying to get back on the gas, but he's up and running again now, and he's holding P4.
It definitely got it locked down, but that little interchange there has allowed Jordan Ross to get away a little bit, open that gap up to 1.1 seconds. Of course, this is a place where you really want to try and stay in that toe. As we go through the kink now, heading down through Kettle Bottoms towards Canada. And these lead 3 Synergy cars are all starting to look quite composed. But as we know, with James Scott, our championship leader in the middle of the 2 blue cars, we know he doesn't feel safe. Can't stand it, hates it, so he'll be going flat out. So the 2 boys around him are going to have to stay on their toes here and be smart about how they manage these tyres.
They're really going to have to drive the car square around here to preserve these tyres as much as possible. Good clean start up from all the drivers. So far, no reported incidents. Everybody's locked away that first lap unscathed. So good start from the boys, and everybody just starting to settle down into a rhythm.
That's pretty much the trick at this stage. Get in that rhythm, stay in a slipstream. A little bit of battling still going on with Radu and Ladder. Nice side-by-side action here. This time, Radu's got the inside line. Going to preserve it. Now let's see if Bradley can now get on after Jordan Ross. But definitely a long train here with Ladder, Briggs, Seth Brown, John Stone.
Yeah, Radu's really will probably want to try and pick up the toe off Jordan Ross so he doesn't become vulnerable again to Kenny Ladder on the next lap on the big long straight. So he'll be wanting to try and get as close to Jordan as he can, as quick as he can.
As we jump on board here with Damien Johnstone, you can hear that throttle control needed for the carousel. And come up here, there'll be a slight little lift to get into the kink. Takes a little bit of grass. Be very careful, car's unsettled. Seen plenty of guys come off there into the wall. Into Canada. Here's all the ripple strip.
Because Rick Kuznetsov starting from the back of the grid, already up 7 spots into 12th.
Definitely got to work hard though around here if he wants to get himself up into that top 5 spots. Still a long way to go. Seth Brown under a bit of pressure from John Stone. Hangs on to it going through turn 1. A few little battles. Cam Jones as well. He's keeping the pressure on John Stone. So these guys battling really hard. Paul Young about 1.5 seconds off the pace here. He's going to jump back on. Hobbo now starting to come under a bit of fire from Scott. So the action's starting to spice up a little bit up the front.
Yeah, Hobbo showed very good pace in qualifying, and with a good jump he's been able to get in front of James Scott and looking pretty comfortable there at the moment. I'm sure James is just doing his sums, working out where he feels Hobbo might be vulnerable, and I'm sure James is really trying to just preserve his tyres as much as he can. Good job from Bradley Radu. He's been able to take about half a second out of Jordan Ross on that last lap. So he's slowly edging his way forward back towards this front three. And I think another couple of laps might see him get there.
Definitely bringing along with him Ladder and Briggs, though. So Briggs definitely... Oh, Kenny, a little bit of cross country there. Opens the door up and let Briggs through. But Ken should be able to duck in, get the toe. Very lucky boy, though, not to have a major accident down through Kettle Bottoms coming out of the King.
Yeah, if you haven't driven a V8 around Road America, you haven't done that move. I think every one of us has done that on more than one occasion.
Well, it's usually a scary ride to hang on. Good little battle pack here, a bit further down the pack. Looks like seeing Thomas Freeman going in for an early stop.
Yeah, that's interesting. With only maybe he won't take tyres. He'll just get one of his compulsory stops out of the way, get some clean air, and try and make some ground. He was a little bit stuck in the mid-pack there, so probably not a bad move from Thomas to get himself in clean air and set some good clean lap times.
Yeah, definitely if he's caught up in this battling pack here. These boys here definitely holding no prisoners.
Yeah, like I said early, John, you get nothing for free in this league. Every position you make is hard fought for and well earned.
Great little move from Christian Smart. Getting past Michael Whiting. Got a little bit further back there, of course. Sean Rigby in the middle thick of the action here with Tim Mulford. Up in front of Christian. Harrison Dengate having a look. We'll stick with these boys for half a second. Definitely some hard work going on down the back as we jump back up. Check on Brendan Hobson, our race leader. James Scott still in tow.
Yeah, there's a lot going on track in many different battle packs at the moment. There's some pretty tough racing right throughout the field at the moment.
Hobbo looking very settled.
Yeah, like I said, John, Hobbo was very quick in qualifying. He's obviously comfortable with the setup. He's comfortable with the track and the track temperature, and he's doing a great job out in front. Bradley Radu continues to just edge his way to the back of these front three at the moment, so he's only about a second off now.
He's definitely in amongst that group, Radu.
It was over 2 seconds he was behind when he got past Kenny Ladder, and he's been able to take a full second out of these front three, and he's pretty much right on the back of Jordan Ross now.
Of course, the 9.5 Simsport got him a very good look at this battle in front of him. Not to be outdone too, Adam Briggs has caught up to the back of this group as well, so this is about to turn into a 5-car battle.
Yeah, good to see Briggsy up here as well. Probably hasn't had as consistent season as he'd like, but doing a great job tonight.
Yeah. And Cam Jones, oops, I'm going to miss it because I went to the wrong camera. He's under a lot of pressure here with Seth Brown. A little bit of a touch. 9.5k into the grass, but manages to keep it going. Paul Young in the background here as well. Simon Mesmo has just gone off the track somewhere. Stay with these guys while they're too wide through the carousel. It's not a part of a track where you see them too wide very often. It's some good driving by both these drivers. Paul Young tucking in behind. And I did say Mesmo went off. Let's have a quick look what happened to Simon. Supercheap auto replay. Just clips the grass going into Hurry Downs. No, he's managed to get back on all right. No dramas. Definitely a bit of battling there. Damien Johnstone is at the front of this group. Hunting down Seth Brown. So definitely got 3, maybe 4 packs on track at the moment. This group here is one of them. Then we've got that group up front with James Scott, our championship leader. This group's got Hobson, Scott, Ross, Radu and Briggs. And Kenny Ladders managed to get onto the back.
Yeah, Kenny's done a good job to find his feet again and get back on the back of this train. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 6-car train now at the front of this race.
Oh, the ladder goes off.
Pick that 5.
Went a bit deep into the sweep.
Oh, that'll be frustrating for Kenny. He's lost the toe now, and he's really going to have to work hard to get back to these boys. I'm sure these boys are just trying to preserve their tyres as much as possible up front.
Nope, wrong camera. We'll come back to that one about now. Here they come.
Yeah, Rick Kuznetsov doing an outstanding job. Up 10 spots already into 9th place after starting from the back. So as we saw at Virginia Raceway last week, Rick's doing exactly the same thing as he did last week, and that's fighting his way through the field from rear of grid. Oh, we've had, who was that? That was Timmy Mulford off the track, I think.
Jump on Supercheap auto replay. Going into the kink. He's found the wall. He's going to bump it on the wall. Car's not straight. It's crabbing a bit there, so I think Timmy might be down there in pit lane. I just noticed that 72, 3 and 8 are all under investigation as well. So we'll see what comes out of that with race control. May have been something with Seth Brown. Seth's locked it up as well. So a few boys now starting to abuse the tyres a little bit. Let's jump back to the live picks. Take Netsov. Sitting in 7th.
Yeah, he's up 12 spots now, so continues his march forward. Doing an outstanding job. He's got Kenneth Ladder in his sights up front now, and I'm sure probably be wise for Ken to let Rick catch up, and they might be able to work together to get back to the front group, because Rick's got plenty of pace in that car, that's for sure.
Yeah, looking very racy too. And the boys in front, so he's basically 2 seconds off Ladder. Ladder's 4 seconds off Briggs. Briggs, of course, he's at the end of that SSR train, so the top 5 cars have 4 SSR cars in there, and the 195 driver in Radu. So Brad would definitely be hoping that Rick could catch up and give him a bit of extra firepower. As Radu goes cross country again out of the King.
Yeah, very easy to do there. Like I said, we've all done that in the V8 around this track. It's a very easy place to get wide, and you'll lose so much momentum for that big long back straight. But Bradley Radu's doing an outstanding job in amongst this synergy storm at the front of the race, and he's just got to hang in there, and hopefully his teammate Rick Kuznetsov can come and give him a bit of a hand later on in the race.
Yeah, definitely be looking for that. Let's jump on with Jordan Ross. It's Michael Whiting pits. Only on lap 8. Still a long way to go in this 43 lap race. Haven't even reached quarter race distance yet. See the value of the draft there, how easily Jordan was able to hang on to the back of Scott. We might just jump back, have a quick check on 95 SimSports Cam Jones. Got Paul Young just behind, Damien Johnstone in front, and we can see that Kuznetsov has actually cleared out a little bit from these boys already. And Ladder is off again. What's Ken done this time? Coming down through Harry Downs. Just manages to get it back on track safely, but that's allowed those boys to catch him. As you can see, Kuznetsov going around the outside. Of course, this battle pack 7 seconds behind the leading battle pack. Now, if they can manage to work together, they might be able to fight their way back up to them.
Well, the way Rick Kuznetsov driving at the moment, he might not be able to hang on to him. He's currently up 13 spots into 6, so not a bad effort from rear of grid.
Definitely showing how it's done. So still a couple of guys have pitted. We've got Freeman and Whiting have all pitted, and Mulford. Mulford, of course, would have had some damage from that incident we saw into the wall.
Yeah, I'm sure Timmy's had to use his fast repair to fix the steering on that car because it took a pretty big hit.
Yeah, wouldn't be happy. Yeah, these guys. Cam Jones having a little bit of a look on Johnstone. Gonna get a run here. Paul Young from phase 4 tucked in behind.
It didn't leave him much racing room there. It was Cam was almost on the grass. Somebody off at turn 5 there.
Brown and Smart will go to the Supercheap Auto replay. Coming down through the sweep, gave him a tap. There we go, the incident between 5 and the 999. It's been noted by race control. Both cars get back on the track safely.
I think it looks like Seth has redressed that, which is pretty good sportsmanship, but doesn't really help Christian after losing some places, but still good sportsmanship from Seth there to give Christian that spot back.
That's what we like. Always see a lot of good sportsmanship in this league. One of the enjoyable parts about it. Let's check on Hobbo, our race leader and current series champion. With the man leading the series tucked in behind him, James Scott.
Yeah, just wondering whether James Scott is trying to give Hobbo a taste of his own medicine, just sitting there fuel saving. I know Scott doesn't do it, but James doesn't fuel save, but I'm just wondering whether he decided after one of the earlier rounds where he led the whole race except for the last couple of laps with the fuel save that Brenton was able to put on that gave him the win.
We've got a bit of an incident. I think it's Cam Jones and Damien Johnstone. Go back, have a bit of a look-ski here. Looks like Johnstone's gone off on his own accord. I'm not sure what's happened to Jones though. I think Jones might have been just in front of him. That's Paul Young and Jones off there. So Paul Young getting 2 free spots for the price of 1.
I think it was just a case if he went off in sympathy there.
Yeah. So our race order at the moment, Hobson, Scott, Ross, Ratu and Briggs. That's the battle pack we're looking at the moment. They're about 7.3 seconds up the road from Kuznetsov and Ladder. And then that group's now starting to spread out a bit with a few guys having a couple of offs here and there. But still an epic battle going on with these guys. So looking forward, of course, 2 pit stops, 2 compulsory stops. So we're looking forward when these guys come and stop. No, they all would have started. What do we got? 033 Johnstone. Incident 9 noticed. Warning for excessive weaving.
I think that was when they were going down the back straight into the marine sweep, where he almost run Cam Jones off out of room there. So not surprising race control have noted that one.
Of course, we're running a new message link tonight with iRace Control. So everything coming in quick and fast from Seb. So should be getting a lot more information now in the stream as it happens with race control. So not waiting for it to happen and then race control typing it in for us. So modern technology working at its best for a change.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that technology to win me some races without me having to drive.
It'd be a lot less painful. Hello, Scott, Ross. Let's have a look. What? Go down the back here. Sean Rigby, we haven't had a look at him for a while. He's battling by himself. Hey, Sean. Another great presented car again. The old purple people eater from Platinum Racing. Then keep a little bit of an eye on the front. White jump back. This one for Joshy Barella. Ash battling away with Seth Brown, staying nice and close. Car looking straight. Of course, Ash, the man behind the league, does all the work in the background, along with Josh Strage and Seb. So great to see him out there having a turn in a few laps, even though we're back in 15th. He's up 2 spots. But we sort of work our way back up. Rick Kuznetsov still got Kenny Ladder tucked in behind him. Hasn't really closed that gap to that leading bunch though, like we were hoping he would. He's lost about 0.6 of a second over the last couple of laps. So always a bit harder when you're the man breaking the air versus being the man in the tow. As we jump back up with Hobbo, I reckon he'd be sweating it out. And no further action in the incident between car 5 and 999.
Yeah, there's really nothing in it with these front 5 cars at the moment. I just wonder whether if we see eventually if James does get through in the pits or somewhere, whether we will see him start to open that gap up. I feel like he's being pretty conservative at the moment.
Yeah, I got to agree, Mark. It's not the James we're used to seeing, to be honest. But it's good to see. He's probably playing the long game.
Yeah, well, with it, like we say, with only 2 sets of tyres available, you really got to use your brain in this one. You really want to drive the car straight. You don't want to be getting too much lateral movement through the tyres, because they'll just disappear on you and you won't have another set to throw on.
Yeah, it's still a long way to go. We're only lap 12 for 43, so just past the quarter race distance. Oh, Hobbo, letting it all hang out. of course, great to see the West End Motor Group banners on the cars tonight. And of course, West End Motor Group consists of Easy Finance, Parramatta Mazda, Parramatta Isuzu Utes, Parramatta Peugeot Professional, Parramatta City Haval and Great Wall Motors. And of course, Blacktown Mazda, Blacktown City Haval and Great Wall Motors as well. So you are in the Sydney area, highly recommend. Geez, Hobbo's really starting to ease into the pits with his tyres. If you are in that Sydney area and you're in the market for a motor vehicle, I highly recommend you go and check out the West End Motor Group. Of course, speaking of West End Motor Group, no McKnight tonight.
No, People's Champion not here tonight. Probably caught out with the early start.
Yeah, a bit disappointing. And Mr. Warboy's in the chat. No, neither of them have pitted. Harry is... He's going to prove me wrong now, isn't he? Yes, Dengate has pitted now. He's just pitted just recently. And Borella is still to pit. Blake? And welcome to town too, mate. Good to have you back.
Yeah, interesting there. Brenton Hobson making a late dive into the pits on that previous lap, not giving any warning to his teammates that he was about to pit. And yeah, interesting strategy. We'll have to wait a while to see how all this plays out and whether James Scott and Jordan Ross try and cover him on this lap or whether they push on.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting. It looked like Hobbo's tyres were starting to go. He was getting quite loose there, as we saw in a couple of corners. I'm just wondering whether he made the call to roll that dice early to get that first stop out of the way, get rid of these first sets of tyres. Bearing in mind they've only got 2 sets of tyres tonight. Ash has been very, very mean to these guys. 52-degree track.
It's 53 now, John.
I was about to click that and bring it up. 53. Wowza. You could break an egg on that and cook it. And see a few of these other guys now starting to get a bit loose as well.
James Scott presses on. He's been able to eke out about half a second on Jordan Ross on that lap. So James starting to show the pace he's got in the car.
Yeah, this is going to be critical time for Ross and Radu. Can they stick with him? And Briggs as well. We're already about to get a time where it's no free ride anymore. Ben Morris in the chat as well. Yeah, Paul's doing relatively well. He's up 2 spots in 7th. Managed to stay out of too much trouble.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing Ben back in here soon, racing with Paul, giving him a hand up the front there. It'd be good to have you back, Ben, if you would like to come and join us in the East Coast Series again.
Of course, entries for season 7 out and about at the moment. I did put a link to it in the chat a bit earlier. And exciting season 7 where we're going to have a race within the race. We're going to have a Super 2 series. So if you haven't done Pro Series or been a regular in Split 1 of Scops, there's a fair chance you might be having a bit of a race in what we're going to call the Super 2 series. And where's that car 18? I think he's got going again. It's Christian Smart. And then, of course, next season we'll also see the Supercheap Auto Bathurst 1000. It's part of the season, so really looking forward to that one. Ben saying he's back next season as well in the chat. James Scott has blown these boys open.
Yeah, I was just thinking I might put my name down to race with James Scott in next year's Bathurst 1000.
You'd be pretty handy. Pretty handy. Driving really well here. Jordan Ross now out to 0.7 of a second behind. But Ross has opened that gap up to Radu. So just looking at the lap times, the pace has picked up a little bit in the last lap, with Scott doing a 2:08.94, where his best was a 2:08.66. And then Jordan Ross with a 2:09.07. So these boys definitely cracking up the lap times a little bit.
Yeah, especially on such a hot track and 15, 16 laps into a stint, to be only a few tenths off your best lap, that's pretty good going from James, and just goes to show you he's decided to knuckle down and try and put in a race-winning performance in this part of the race, while we have Brenton Hobson pitting a bit earlier.
Of course, Hobbo's come out in a gap on his own. He's got Ashbarella behind him. He's back by about 2 seconds. So we talked about being able to work in the train, being able to sit in a tow. So wondering whether this undercut is actually going to hurt Hobbo. So he's pushing a bit hard on the tyres as well.
Yeah, that's the thing, John. He wants to push, but he can't afford to use up his tyres. So, yeah, it's a very fine balancing act at the moment. And we're just seeing James Scott now. He's got over a second on Jordan Ross. So he's just edging away with each metre of track he covers.
Definitely getting into some hard work territory at the moment. Christian Smart is another one of our earlier stoppers. He's back in 18th. He's battling it away. Seth Brown is in the pits, but I think he's left us. I think he's not coming back out. Yes, I hate how it goes to Scenic. But definitely the closest battle on track we've got at the moment is this one between Paul Young and Kenneth Ladder. Cam Jones is pitting as well. So starting to see some of these guys roll in for their first stops.
Yeah, Paul doing an outstanding job, as he does week in, week out. He's, as you saw with the championship points, John showed it before the race start. Paul sitting in second spot in the championship, and that's purely down to Paul's consistency. He's just such a consistent driver and makes the most out of every opportunity he's given.
Absolutely. Ladder misses the apex. Does this open the door up, coming up the hill? No, Young sees better. Long way to go still. Leave her head on Paul's shoulders.
And that's exactly why we see him in second spot the championship, because some other drivers would have just thrown it up the inside and probably ruined their race and Kenny Ladder's race. But Paul races very smart, uses his head, and like I said, he makes the most out of every opportunity he's given and takes maximum points each round.
That's driving very well here. Watch out back up the front. That gap's out to a second, like we said. There's James Scott. As you can see, Jordan Ross still within eye shot. So is Radu. So is Briggs.
Yeah, Jordan doing a great job here in second spot. We know how quick James is, but Jordan is no slouch either, and he's doing a great job to hang on as James really starts to push the envelope.
And of course, a 2:09.2 to a 2:09.3. .210 as Knetsov and Kenneth Ladder have both pitted now, so starting to see the guys roll the dice.
So yeah, 2:09.2 for James Scott, and then back in the pack in 10th spot. Previous race leader Brenton Hobson, he did a 2:09.5, so that undercut at the moment not going in Brenton's favour.
No, definitely be hurting.
I'm not whether he changed tyres or not. We're not sure because they've only got 2 sets.
Yes, and of course, the curse of the commentary, we don't get to see how many sets of tyres the guys have raced with.
Yeah, I'm guessing Brenton probably kept his on. It would have been a bit too early to change those tyres at the moment. You'd want to be getting at least halfway through the race to have another set of tyres to use.
Could be part of this strategy game. Forward to seeing how it plays out as we get a bit further into this race, almost near the half race distance.
Our race leader James Scott really starting to apply the blowtorch to the field now. He's out to almost 1.9 seconds on Jordan Ross there, so he's picked up another half a second just on this lap alone. Jordan throws the white flag up and says, "No, I'm going to get some tyres."
Yep, put some new boots on.
That moves Bradley Radu from 9.5 Simsport into P2, and Brad's doing an epic job tonight. It's so good to have him back in the V8's with us, and he's about 3 seconds off James Scott at the moment, but I'm going to be very interested to see how this plays out for Brad in this pit stop cycle and where he is in relation to Brenton Hobson.
Yeah, we need to see where Hobbo is. We might try if we can pick that up. Jump on with Hobson. Hobson coming down the start-finish straight. Ross still to leave the pit lane. Hobson's got past Ross here.
Yeah, well, Brenton was the race leader when he pitted, but it looks like he's got a pretty good gap on Jordan there. I think he certainly increased the gap, that's for sure.
Looking alive. Oh, Mesmo in front there. Couple little battles still. Got Dengate under a lot of pressure from Christian Smart. Nice little close battle on track. Kenny Ladder's the other one, under a fair bit of pressure from the big fish, Michael Whiting. Couple little battle packs. Hobson's the leader of our first stoppers. And of course, we're basically looking at now Scott, Radu, Briggs, Young, Rigby and Mesmo still to stop.
Of course, one person we haven't really spoken much about tonight is Thomas Freeman. He pitted very early, around lap 3 or 4 from memory, maybe even earlier than that. But Thomas is back up tonight. He's up 9 spots and doing a really, really good job for the Fishy Motorsports team.
Definitely an interesting strategy.
Yeah, well, Thomas, he's a very smart racer. He's very quick. Pulled himself. He was stuck in the back end of the mid pack, so he pulled himself out of that. Got himself some clean air and has chipped away and chipped away, and he's now in front of Jordan Ross. So clearly, it was a good strategy for Thomas to work on.
That's right. Probably knock that early stop out of the way. Don't take tyres. Knuckle down. And might have tyres at the end as well for Freeman. So you might see Freeman move up a few more spots here.
So Freeman just gets past Ash Barella, so that puts Thomas up 10 spots into 8th.
Of course, Barella going very long here on his first stint. about to have Jordan Ross tucked up behind him as well. And James Scott's into the pits. So it's interesting because Radu has continued on. He's going to be our new race leader across the stripe. And Briggs is going on as well. Of course, Adam, a former champion of the East Coast Series.
Simon Mazzomo under all sorts of pressure at the moment from Brenton Hobson. Brenton really want to clear Simon as quick as possible so it doesn't compromise his race too much, but Simon doesn't have to yield. He's not a lap down.
And Hobson gets past Scott as well here. Very interesting. Been some interesting strategies at play tonight. Going to go back to the pit strategy window so everyone can see. Radu, Briggs, Young and Rigby still to pit. Hobson went 12 laps in his first stint. Besmo and Scott have gone 19 laps. Freeman went 3. So definitely a few boys rolling some dices tonight as Barella pits, along with Brown. Nothing's out of the race.
So James Scott was in the lane for a minute, stationary for 29 seconds, which is longer than anybody else at the moment.
Yeah, very interesting. I might just go back to that and just so we can all have a look, I'll bring up the pit stop times. If I click the right spot. Sorry of that. So yeah, we'll bring up the pit stop times there. So yeah, you can see the actual stop time. Hobson was stopped for 14.8. Scott stopped for 29. Ross for 28. Johnstone for 26. Obviously filling it up to get home almost. As Briggs is now in the lane.
Yeah, I think it'll be a splash and dash for some of these drivers and a longer stop for others. So, yeah, it's going to really be an interesting final stop to see where everybody rolls out.
And it just clouded over and track temperature dropping dramatically. We've gone from 53 degrees down to 48. This will be helping out the guys on the old tyres.
Sunny side up on them eggs.
So Radu still to pit, Young still to pit. And this man, Brenton Hobson, who of course was our first leader to pit, led the race at the start after getting the jump on the previous pole sitter, which was the one and only James Scott. So James, of course, went a much longer fuel stop. James sitting back in 5th spot now, trying to knuckle down and continue on.
Big lock up there from Thomas Freeman, who's sitting behind James Scott. Ended up being a good save, but I'm sure his tyres wouldn't have liked that at all.
But Scott, he'll be knuckling down here. Just going to go back, have a look at some close battles. We've got Briggs and Whiting. So Briggs tucked up, ladder in the background, going a little bit wide again. Briggs tucked up behind Michael Whiting here, trying to fight his way back through. Get rid of those pit times. So of course, the fishy car's on a slightly different strategy, everybody else as well. It's very difficult at this time of the race to try and ascertain exactly where everybody's at. Don't really know their their tyre strategies. Now,
I think Brenton Hobson's going to have a fresh set of boots for the second half of this race, which is probably a pretty smart strategy, I reckon.
it's a very smart strategy. As Mesamo goes into the pits, Ratu, the 9.5 Sim Sports driver, leading the way still. He still has to stop. Car looking very composed. Looking very organised. Someone on the grass in front of him there. Might have been Dengate, I think. Race leader Radu, 16 seconds up the road from the other man who hasn't pitted yet, Mr. Paul Young. Base 4 Motorsports. There's 18th, Simon. Ben Gates had another off. Young H, not having a good night. Jump on Rick. Got his teammate Cameron Jones tucked up behind him. The 295 boys here working together as their teammate Brad Radu ducks into the pits.
Yeah, so Brad Radu pits just after we've just crossed the halfway point of the race, so I'm sure Brad will probably take some fresh tyres now.
And Youngie in as well. These boys having a great little battle. That's Radu. He's got out just in front of Hobson.
Wow, I didn't predict that. I didn't see that one coming, John. That's a big surprise to me. He was only stationary for 11 seconds, so interesting. He's probably going to have a bit longer second stop by the look of it.
Still 20 laps to go. Long way. But that is a big call. And of course, Hobson is 10 seconds ahead of James Scott, which is probably something I didn't think we'd see, but no, James taking a lot more fuel in that stop, of course.
Yeah, so James is stationary about 15 seconds longer than Hobbo there, so that's where we're seeing that gap. But yeah, I think Radu, maybe fresh tyres, lighter fuel load. He's going to try and make hay in this stint and then see where it brings him out for the final stint of the race.
It definitely going to be interesting to watch how this one plays out. So Hobson starting to make some minor inroads here. He's just starting to feel the effects of the draft, which will help him close that gap. Radu will be on much fresher boots, of course.
Yeah, just wondering, looking at lap times, John, I'm just wondering whether Hobson, James Scott, whether any of them boys actually took tyres, because their lap times are pretty similar to what they were doing before they pitted, and that's not something you generally see when you take fresh tyres.
Hudson now back in the draft again. Bradley Radoof, 95 Sim Sports, our race leader at the moment. He's leading Brenton Hobson, our current league champion, followed by James Scott, the leader of the current championship. He's sitting back in third spot, further 10 seconds back. He's got Thomas Freeman tucked up behind him. Thomas up 14 spots into fourth. It's a great drive from Tom. Do a completely different strategy to everybody else. Seeing how that plays out. Next man back on track, further 5 seconds back, is Jordan Ross, travelling by himself. And then we have Cameron Jones. And he's managed to pull away from Rick Knetsov this time. So that gap's opened up a little bit. So Rick, of course, in 7th, up 14 spots. Then we've got the big fish from Fishy Motorsports, Michael Whiting, in 8th. And then we come back to Kenneth Ladder and Paul Young, rounding out our top 10. So, of course, these boys now are all starting to spread out a bit. So we're going to start to see these guys having to do this off their own bat, not getting much assistance. But the talk of the town at the moment is Brad Radu, Hobson and James Scott having the much longer stop. This is where we're going to see this strategy play out, I think.
Yeah, still a lot of laps to go. We've still got 19 laps remaining, so we're not far past halfway point at the moment. And there's still a lot to play out in this race tonight.
There's still a long way to go. Might throw up a dashboard.
Track is ice cold at 49 degrees now.
Hobson going in for his second stop. Didn't see this coming. Very interesting.
19 laps to go. Be interesting to see what his first hot lap is out on this stint, because that'll give us an indication whether he's saved the set of tyres for now, which I'm guessing that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree with you, Mark. If you've got a new set of tyres, you don't want to go too much further and not put them to use. And Kuznetsov's in the pits as well. Hobson, of course, the first of our 2 stoppers. Let's see where he rolls out. He's still on the jacks. So he's definitely been in for a little bit of time. Paul Young's gone past. Tim Mulford, next man on track. He's going to roll through here too, I think. As Hobson definitely having a longer stop.
So he's stationary for about 30 seconds there, John. So that is a pretty long stop for a second stop. And I think James Scott, with his long pit stop in the first round, is going to have a short stop come this time.
Interesting though. James Scott's got Thomas Freeman catching him here. Of course, always want to have someone in front to chase. And just going to bring up the pit strategy board again, just so we can have a quick look where we're all laying now. So Radu went 22 laps on his first stint. James Scott, of course, went 19. He's done 5 on this stint. And Freeman went 3 and 21. So Freeman with the old tyres here. Doing a fairly long stint, a little bit in reverse to the other boys.
Yeah, I was wondering if James Scott is going to cover Hobson here.
And you're right, they're all in. They're going to have a good old-fashioned pit stop battle. Let's see if I go that one, whether that brings up and has the counter on it. Don't think so. We haven't got there yet. Pit lane time. There we go. So Radu is in as well. Cam Jones goes past to be our race leader. Go back to the battle box. Go pick someone on track to have a look at, of course, Cam Jones. So we can see those pit times rolling down. Scott's been in for 39, 40 seconds already. Paul Young's gone past. Jordan Ross has come in. Freeman's in. Whiting's in.
Looked like Jordan Ross missed his box there. I just seen him reversing.
Oh, no.
James Scott coming back out now stationary for just 11th. Comes out just in front of Brenton Hobson.
You called that one, Mark. Still not much in it. Hobbo with the warm tyres.
Warm tyres and the draft. So a very smart call there from James Scott to cover Brenton Hobson, because if he had gone one more lap, he would have come out behind Brenton Hobson. I've got no doubt about it, with Brenton on fresh tyres and James was on fairly second-hand rubber. So good call there from James.
Yeah, James definitely done really well. It's what I tended to expected. Definitely be able to put the pace in now to be able to pull away.
Yeah, not sure if he had anybody, if he's got anybody crewing for him, but it was a critical time to pit then.
Very critical. Cam Jones in the pits now. Paul Young came in. Paul Young is going to take our race lead. Another man to going tick over. Put a couple of one next to his name. Mr. Paul Young from Phase 4 Motorsports. And Sean Mack in the chat as well. Good to have Sean there. Of course, with his shiny new rig. Oh, bright red. Racecraft. Absolute work of art if you haven't seen it. Jump on the 95 Sim Sports Facebook page. There's a series of instructional videos for Mr. McNamara showing you how to put a rig together. Paul Young doing well here. Might just go back up a little battles. Hobbo, his boys, brought up the Tim Mulford. Tim, of course, still needs to pit, as long with Young. Might just have a quick look at some of these lap times. If I can hit the right button over here. Have a look at everyone's last lap. Sort of see. It's still got all the pit stops in it, so that's not going to give me any information. That worked out well for us. Hobbo sitting in third. Paul Young still got a pit. Might just go down the back. Kenny Ladder having a great little battle here with Ash Barella. Nice bit of room given.
Yeah, we can see James Scott as well. He's already opened up nearly a 2-second gap on Brenton Hobson. So it'll be interesting to see what James' lap time is this time past the stripe.
It definitely looks like the car has that little bit more urgency about it than what we didn't see in the first half of the race. Has come up towards the stripe. That gaps out to 2 seconds. And Scott with a lap record 207.556, Hobson 208.25. That is James Scott stamping his authority with the quickest lap of the race.
Yeah, quickest lap of the race by some margin, John. So only person in the 207s so far tonight. Jordan Ross has done a 207 as well, 207.862. So Jordan clearly on the pace as well.
Might just bring up everybody's best lap times. So there you go. You can have a look there. see how everyone's doing.
I'm
But
sure Jordan would be ruining the fact that he had to reverse in pit lane.
yeah, it definitely hurt, dropping him back to 7th. There's Brad Radu. He's done 208.2, 208 the Hobson. Not much difference in those two boys. 1,000ths of a second. And of course, might try again now for last lap times. So we're going to have a look at those. So of course, Scott with that liner of a lap. And you can see Radu chipping away on Hobson a little bit there. Mulford obviously a little bit slower. And Briggsy still setting some good times as well. Of course, the last lap was Jordan Ross was at 2:07. So Jordan definitely letting the new tyres shine. Hit the wrong one. Might jump back on with Briggsy. He's going to make his way past Timmy Mulford. He still has to have another stop.
So yeah, Bradley Rudder's done an excellent job tonight for the 9.5 team. He's on corrected times. He's sitting in P3, so that's a great effort considering he was jammed up inside the Synergy Sim Racing train at the front there for the first portion of the race. So great job from Bradley, and it's good to see him, like I said earlier, back in a V8, and he's driving really, really well, as he's always done when he's pedalled around in this car.
Yeah, I think he's looked really good tonight. And still a bit of a distance to go. Still got lap 29 of 43. So anything can still happen here.
Yeah, we still got 14 laps to go, John, and as you know, around this track, that's a lot of kilometres.
That's a long way. Of course, 2-minute lap times. A lot of these guys now racing under their own stream, not being able to rely on that slipstream that they had earlier. This bloke here on screen doing really well. He's been consistent.
That's a story of his season, isn't it? Consistency.
No, he's got a good 9-second interval out to James Scott at the moment. And then you look at that, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 2 seconds. Then back to Jordan Ross, another 2.5, and then 8 seconds back to Freeman. I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Young can come out after his last stop somewhere between maybe as high as 6th.
I think we'll be seeing, depending on what the other drivers do, but I think Paul will be between 6th and 9th.
Yeah. Interesting to see how that pans out. We'll keep an eye on that one. Of course, he is, and Harrison Dengate, as Paul Young goes into the pits now. I was about to be revealed, but it's about to say him and Dengate are the only two that haven't stopped yet for their second stop. Of course, 2 compulsory pit stops tonight. So definitely a splash and dash, as expected. James Scott blows past. And there we go. Have a good look there. And here comes Hobson. Radu. Briggs. It's a long pit lane, isn't it?
It is a long pit lane, yeah. So, yeah, I think Paul's probably going to end up just in front of Damien Johnson.
Yeah, Freeman. He's got it rolling now. It was quick. Going to pop out just behind Rick. Here's Damien. Whoop. Looking at Paul Young. Yeah, like I said, in front of Johnston. Battle there. Let's get those car going again. Warm it up. Of course, Kitsnetsov and Freeman both up 12 spots in 6th and 7th. So definitely battling away the 2 hard charges. And in front of them, of course, we have Jordan Ross, Adam Briggs, Radu, Hobbs, Scott. That gap already out the nearly 3.5 seconds between Scott and Hobson.
Yeah, so James Scott, very patient in the first third of the race, just sitting behind Brenton Hobson. And then, in this final third of the race, he's really stamped his authority on the field and doing what we've seen James do all season, and that is set blistering lap times and breaking the will of the people following.
Yeah, we are in a bit of cloud cover again. Track temp's 48 degrees. So it's not the blistering 53 we had earlier. These boys definitely have really had to work for it with those track temps this week. Might just jump on with Thomas Freeman. Seen a lot of him tonight, running that little bit different strategy. Seems to have paid off.
Yeah, I think it was a great call from Thomas to make that early pit out of the quagmire of the back end of the middle of the field there, and then just give himself some free air. When you looked at where he was on track, he was miles behind the whole field on his own, but it was a very smart strategy in the end.
Yeah, I think the Fishy faithful out there would be pretty happy with how he's gone tonight. Another one of the quick guys we have in the series. It races in the Pro Series as well. I'm just going to jump back on that Damian Johnson battle. That's Cam Jones has come into the equation here as well. So Cam, another one of the newer drivers at the 9.5 Tim Speed team, been battling away, very consistent all season. Down 2 spots tonight, but probably caught out a little bit on the tyre strategy.
Yeah, the 9.5 boys are assembling quite a formidable team. A lot of depth in that team now, and they've got some great drivers, and looking forward to what the future holds for them.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and they're starting to get consistent as a group, which is great to see. And of course, I did mention it earlier at the start of the broadcast when we went through the carousel that Gunther would be saying, "What the hell with the Americans calling this thing a carousel?" When they know there are only 2, the Nuremberg ring, and the one Mr. Baldock's learning to ride horses on. How are you, Dave, if you're out there? Cam Jones here, he's looking quite racy.
Yeah, Damian Johnson looking pretty defensive at the moment. Cam's got a good run on him.
And Cam is through. So late in the race, still 12 laps to go, but we're still seeing some moves. Don't you see if he can push up onto Young now. Keep an eye on that. Jordan Ross starting to come under a bit of pressure as well. Sorry, starting to apply a bit of pressure onto Adam Briggs. Jordan, of course, was setting that as cracking lap times. The only other driver in this stint to get into the 207s.
Yeah, he's quite a bit quicker than Adam Briggs at the moment. So won't be long before I think we see Jordan get right on under the wing and get past Briggsy.
Of course, Jordan, victim to some equipment and hardware failure this season. Puts him down a little bit in the championship. But always a ferocious competitor on track. Getting that slipstream, closing right in.
Yeah, like I said, he'd be ruined the fact that he missed that pit box on it. Maybe that was equipment failure and the brakes didn't work properly. But yeah, it really cost him a couple of spots having to reverse in pit lane there.
Yeah, never a good look The old reversing in pit lane. This lap's starting to tick down on the race.
Yeah, 11 to go, John. So it's been pretty long night of racing for these boys on a hot track, and there's still quite a few kilometres to cover in this final 11 laps.
Jordan Ross definitely tucked up behind Briggsy here. There's no team orders for the boys at Synergy. This will be a straight out fight between the boss and the past champion. And Ross straight past. I wonder whether Briggs might have the older tyres.
Yeah, well, like you said, with Jordan, the only other driver, him and James Scott, the only drivers in the 207s, no surprises that he's been able to round up Adam pretty quickly and get past, because Jordan's been quick all night.
Definitely showing a lot of good pace. As Cam Jones now starting to put the torch on Paul Young. Coming around through the carousel. Definitely keeping that wick on.
Yeah, Paul doing a great job. He's very good at driving the car straight, Paul, and using very little of the tyres, or as little as he can. So doing a good job. Cam getting closer, and he probably get pretty good toe up this straight this time, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him duck down the inside.
A little bit of a look. So another one through. Cam Jones. He'll sit himself into 8th. That's where he started, the 95 Sim Sports driver. Relatively good night. Tough conditions, 2 sets of tyres. Track temperatures between 46 and 53 degrees. And a long race with it being 43 laps. So these boys definitely having to work hard tonight. But it's all about James Scott again, the most winningest driver in the series. Ironically, we say most winningest driver, but never won the series. James Chastney's asked, Paul Young's good at driving the car straight, but what about around corners?
Yeah, well, he's doing an okay job so far tonight. He's kept it clean. He's raced smart. He doesn't waste his opportunities. He tries to collect maximum points every week, and that's why we're seeing him in 2nd place in the championship, because he is just so consistent week in, week out.
Yeah, it definitely is. We might jump on board, crank the volume up a little bit, and do a lap with James Scott. Just makes it look so easy, doesn't he?
There is nothing hard about driving these cars, is there, when you watch James Scott?
No. Just his throttle application, his wheel. Yeah. It's very masterclass. You get to this level.
Yep, doing an outstanding job. Hobbo doing a great job in P2, as is Bradley Radu in P3. Looking like at this stage that could be our podium, barring any mistakes or anything untoward. Well, as we saw, I think Virginia last week, we didn't expect a safety car, but then with 4 or 5 laps to go, all of a sudden we had one. So anything is possible with 7.5 laps to go.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, Bradley Radu from 9.5, he's done well tonight. Jordan Ross started on the second row with him. He's sitting in down a spot, 4th. Still setting good lap times as Ross. Last lap was a 2:08.65. Radu was a 2:08.64, and then the man behind Adam Briggs was a 2:09.37. So Ross probably not pegging back Radu as quick as he'd like, but he's put a little bit of air time between himself and Briggs. We make it a little bit more comfortable coming into this closing stages. And he's going to jump back. Cam Jones, he's back in 8th. He's pulled away a bit from Paul Young now. He's back in 9th. Then the only battle we've got close on track at the moment, of course, is Sean Rigby and Kenneth Ladder. So this is a battle for 12th. Of course, Sean's 23 seconds behind Michael Whiting up the road, but interesting to see these boys still having a crack, which is good. Sean, one of the new names to the league this season, and starting to show some good consistency as well. And Simon Mesmo, he's back in 14th. He's up a spot. It's been a while since we've seen Simon in the V8, so good to see him having a crack. Another one of the 9.5 Sim Sports drivers. Good old Rigby. See how this one plays out towards the end. Lap 37 of 43. And just have a quick look at these pit strategies again, so everyone can see. James Scott did 19 laps in his first stint, 6 in his second. And Hobson went 12, 12, 12. Ratu went 22, and then a very small stint. I assume he's probably did his full tyre run on that first and second stint. And then Jordan Ross pretty much the same, and Briggs. Freeman, of course, is the odd man out with a different strategy. He went in early, went in 3 laps early at the start, so I'm assuming he's run his tyre sets for that first 25 laps. Now fairly fresh rubber to bring it home. So, interesting things in play. As Christian Smart definitely keeping the pressure on there.
Yeah, I definitely think Thomas Freeman, probably one of the smartest strategies of the night so far. He has put himself in a very strong position after being mired in the mid-pack early on in the race, or in the first few laps of the race. He pulled himself out of that, got his first stop done early, and then gave himself some clean air and just punched out some good lap times, and sees him well entrenched in the top 10.
Yeah, very smart move by the fishy driver. Oh, Rigby a little bit loose there. That's going to open the door up. Christian Smart won't think twice about walking through. That moves Smarty up into 12th. Plenty of good pace being shown by Christian there leading up to that overtake. As might just jump back up now with James Scott. You can see that interval's nearly out to 5 seconds. Another consistent night.
Yeah, so 5.5 laps to go, and we're probably just going to finish with 15 minutes to spare before iRacing shuts down for the big update tonight. So very well managed timing for the race.
Of course, we started half an hour earlier and to make sure we have it all done. Of course, I think we get Aragon and Willow Springs, 2 new tracks that come onto the service. And then, unfortunately, no updates of Gen 3 cars. No rain. Keep dangling these carrots in front of us.
We wouldn't have the joys of 53-degree crash temperatures if we had rain, John.
It's Katie enough when it's 53 degrees anyway.
Well, I mean, it'd be interesting if we had 53 at the start and then torrential rain halfway through.
Yeah, we definitely have these boys thinking. Jones looking very composed. Our 2 times championship winner, current champ, Brenton Hobson sitting in second. He is being consistent again tonight. Had the pace of Scott earlier on, but hasn't in the second stint. And the man who's done really well for 95 Sim Sports, Bradley Radu. Pete Keller here asking, has James Scott broken any race records? Wouldn't have to look that one up. Got me there, Pete.
Well, he has in East Coast. He won more races than any other driver.
Yeah. Most winningest driver. And also the most winningest driver not to win a championship.
Yeah, well, he hasn't raced with us for all that long when you think about it. I think this maybe his 3rd season.
Yeah, 3rd or 4th season. But I'd say being in round 8, I'd say after tonight, he's going to be a very hard man to beat for this season's championship. Of course, he'll become the 3rd Synergy Sim Racing driver to be the East Coast champion if he does get it done. Behind Briggsy and 2 times champion Brenton Hobson. Of course, the other champions we've got in the league, of course, for season 1 was Blake Warboys. Season 2 was Corey McFarlane. And of course, entries are open if you think you can be the champion for season 7. It's Michael Whiting now. He's caught up to the back of Damien Johnstone. And Damien Johnstone just made it very easy for him to get past. And it's like, got that going. So that,
Yeah, Damien's really kind of dropped off the pace. He's obviously struggling with tyres.
yeah, definitely hard work for these boys, particularly if they're on that old set of tyres. Bearing in mind they only had 2 sets of tyres and had to do 2 compulsory stops, meaning they had to do a stint somewhere in there under a set of tyres for the second hand. Michael Whiting, big fish in the top 10. As jump back on. We'll check on Thomas Freeman with the Fishy Boys. And Thomas up 12 spots as well in 6th. For that great strategy early. Rick Kuznetsov is about 4 seconds back. That gap closing ever so slightly. Only on lap 40 now, 43. It's only basically about 3 laps to go. Looking at where our race leader is, I'd probably say Kuznetsov's got a lot of work to do if he's going to close it anymore.
Yeah, I can't see Rick getting to the back of Thomas at the moment. Rick made a pretty strong charge early on in the race, but pit strategy probably hasn't worked in his favour, but he's still done an outstanding job to come from the back of the pack and be in 7th spot because he's got some pretty strong drivers in front of him.
Definitely a quality field. Sean Rigby with a bit of an off track. That's just out to hurry downs. Great drive from Thomas Freeman. Let's go back, have a look here. We've got Tim Mulford starting to put a pressure on Simon Mesamo.
Yeah, Tim battling back hard. We've seen him in the fence earlier on and suffered some pretty big damage and had to pit to get repairs, but he's fighting his way back. He's down 4 spots on where he started, but considering where he was in the early part of the race, he's done a good job.
They're done very well. Let's just save this battle for a half a second, just to see if Tim's got the pace going up the straight. Mesamo going over to the wall, try and break the toe a little bit, get the inside line. Mulford not quite the legs to get the job done. Puts Simon up. Oh, yeah. And Paul Young, he's off. What's happened to Paul? There's Youngie. He's just clipped it on the curb, smacked the wall hard. And looks like that car has stalled. And he's parked it up on the hill. Gets it going. But you can see some extensive damage there to the left-hand side.
Yeah, such a shame for Paul. He was having a good run tonight, but that curb has caught many a driver out with that big tank slap across the track.
Anyway, he's got it going. He's still sitting in the top 10. Hasn't lost too much. As Mulford's got past Mesmo, but these guys are still side by side.
Yeah, these boys are having a ding-dong battle for this last lap of this race we're on at the moment. We've still got 2.5 to go, but this lap they've swapped positions a few times.
As they come out of the carousel, still side by side, one on the grass.
You could see Simon in the marbles there, and just since the new track polishing model from iRacing, as soon as you get in them marbles, there is no grip anymore.
Yeah, it definitely has changed the way you got to tackle things. No, these boys have separated. Paul Young's into the pits. Jump back up the front. James now on the penultimate lap. Shervo Jones saying that won't buff out. Chasty saying no, not the new paint job.
Yeah, shame for Paul, but I'm presuming he went in to get a fast repair because I'm sure the car was almost undrivable in its current state. He might have had a meatball for all we know.
Yeah, she was a pretty hard whack. I wouldn't be surprised. As he comes back out, Ratu using all the track limits as well.
That was a very costly mistake for Paul there. He's dropped all the way back down to 15th now.
Yeah, that would hurt a little bit. I was running consistently in the top 10, and of course he's the man. He's second in the championship, so Could be a round that might affect how the podium plays out as we get to the end of the season. And of course, James got Rick's next up. He's in 7th, and James Scott has started the final lap. James has absolutely done really well tonight. Spent the first third of the race tucked up behind Brenton Hobson. Nicely managed the car well. And then came out of the 2 quick pit stops. With the first stop, probably overfilled the car, filled it up. So he had a very short stop to finish on his second. And has basically went into the short stint between the 2 stops, put the new boots on, set the fastest lap of the race, and then has just carried on, building this lead from Hobson out now to 5.5 seconds. So another dominant performance from James Scott.
Yeah, dominant performance. Good drive from Brenton Hobson after being away last week, I think it was, and an outstanding drive as well from Bradley Radu for 9.5 Sim Sport. He's done an excellent job tonight to be in P3.
Yeah, he's done really well. As James Scott heading up into the penultimate corner. Got a couple of incidents there. I'm not sure what's going on with Paul Young. He's been off track with Simon Mesmo. We'll come back and look at that in a minute. But it's been all about this fella. An incident there at the end with Paul Young and Kenny Ladd has been noted by race control. And James Scott takes the win. Great drive. And Hobbo home in second. Bradley Radu, 9.5 Sim Sports, home on the podium in third. Jordan Ross, probably about that time it took to reverse up pit lane there. It's probably the difference between him and the podium. Adam Briggs home in fourth. Great drive from Briggsy. Thomas Freeman up 12 spots into sixth. Rick Kuznetsov from 9.5 Sim Sports home in seventh. Just making across the line. Probably out of fuel maybe. And Cameron Jones in eighth. Michael Whiting in ninth. And then the man who's going to round out the top 10 is Damien Johnstone. And once we round that out, we'll go back, have a quick look at that Simon Mesmo incident that was noted. As we'll throw that up now on the Supercheap Auto replay. Oh, bit of a touch from Ladder on Mesmo. Young just cooked it himself and went off. So, interesting. Ladder gets the big dive there on all of them, but race control will be looking at that. So, leave that one for them to decide. And, of course, we have a quick look here. We've got the Vehicle Finance Solutions safety cars on track. Putting on a safety car show. Of course, Vehicle Finance Solutions, our safety car sponsor. They weren't needed tonight. Boys trying to do some circle work in them. And they're out there.
Looking like the unsafety cars at the moment.
Yeah. Anyway, Ash Barella, last man to finish on track. Hobbo home in second. We've probably got to come up with drive of the day, Mark.
I'm going to go, my vote's going to Thomas Freeman, up 12 spots. Toss up between him and Rick Kuznetsov, but I feel like Thomas's pit strategy is what got him in front of Rick, and for that reason, I'm giving it to Thomas.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'd go with that one too. As Hobbo still with plenty of fuel to burn, by the looks. Gets around. So we'll wait for the boys to come in and have a chat, and we can start with James. Congratulations, James, on another really good win, mate. That was a pretty tough one.
Yeah, pretty much no laps. I'm glad the Piss series was cancelled because I'd done basically no laps. I was trying to work out how to tile my bathroom floor on the weekend before the race, so I had no practice. But yeah, no, the car was pretty average. So yeah, needs to be tuned up for when the Logitech series comes around. But yeah, nevertheless, good to come away with the win.
No, you've done well, and you look like you're quite comfortable just tucked in, letting Hobbo do all the work in that first stint.
Yeah, pretty much. I just tucked in behind. Yeah, that was the spot to be really. I actually regret pitting the time I did for the first stop. I should have kept running a bit longer. I could see I was still extending the gap to Hobbo, so I should have stayed out for a bit longer. But anyway, it all worked out all right. But yeah, that was the plan in the first, and just stick behind, save some fuel and the tyres.
So was that a bit of payback for Motegi there with that fuel saving?
Nah, no. I think he was saving just as much as I was. I don't think I don't know. I've never been that great at fuel saving. So I could see he was lifting off quite a lot before the corners as well. So I don't think the fuel save really affected the result too much. I think it was, yeah. I just those few laps I got to run in clean air in the first didn't probably really set up my race.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was, sorry, John. Yeah, it was, and covering him straight away in the second stop. Like, I think if you had to win another lap, he probably would have come out in front of you.
Yeah, I did consider running long. I knew I would have lost track position, but I would have had quite grippy tyres if I ran a bit longer. But yeah, I chose the safe bet. I chose to get the track position. Luckily enough, just with the long lap, the tyres just wear that bit much, bit more here than at some other tracks. So I was able to break the draft without too much trouble. And then yeah, that made it a bit easier once that was done.
Yeah, no, and the other one I was just going to say, you really stamped your authority with the 207.56 after that second stop.
Yeah, it was. I actually got someone. I don't know who it was. They did let me out of the way, so it's not their fault. But I was off the racing line. I probably lost 2-3 tenths on that lap, so I probably could have done a bit more of a low 7. But yeah, no, it was good. It was a bit of a difference getting off the 2 stint old tyres onto the fresh boots. That's for sure.
No, it's fair enough. And we've also got the man who came second in here, Mr. Hobson. How are you, Brenton? Welcome back from your holiday.
I'm good, John. How are you?
Good, mate.
That's good.
How'd you find that first stint, mate? Looks like you had the blowtorch on you there for a fair while.
We were just sort of rolling around. Getting to the lead was partly good and bad. I think like I was saving fuel and saving tyres more than anything, and those guys were just saving more fuel behind me, and we were just rolling around, I think. But I kind of didn't mind the clean air. I think it helped me look after my tyres a little bit better than being tucked up behind someone, but it made the fuel mileage a bit of a drama. So we were all just cruising. I don't think anyone was in any hurry there at the start. And then I sort of thought, I got to get away from all this, and hit it maybe a little earlier than I would have otherwise, and mix it up. And it all played out as it played out. I thought we were going to lose big time across the 2 stops and come out behind everyone, but we sort of slotted in second, and that's where it ended.
You did well, mate. And we'll move on to the guy that got third, Brad Radu. Nice performance there, mate, for the 9.5 boys to break up the SSR guys.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, it's nice to finish a race without getting hit for once. A little bit. I suppose that's a start.
Yeah, and how'd you find the 53 degree track temperature?
Not very good. Yeah, it's the first time I touched the track that hot. So it's sort of a bit of an eye-opener, a little bit of tweaking I've got to do to the car to get my car to handle a bit better for it. But yeah, tonight I learned a fair bit, just about the car in general. It's the first long run I've done so far for Pro. So yeah.
That's good. And of course, our hard charger, our driver of the day goes to Fishy Motorsports, Thomas Freeman. Tell us about your early stop, Thomas.
Yeah, hang on, boys. Oh, it was pretty basic, really. Just getting held up, starting from the back. So I just thought I'd pit early and hold on to my tyres a bit better than the rest, which is interesting. So because normally my 1 lap pace, even in quali, is atrocious compared to my race pace. So I think it's a little bit interesting to see maybe the setups are, a little bit more aggressive with the front runners, and maybe that's where probably we're going wrong now. So it's actually really good to see this one tyre strat. And how it plays out, it kind of comes back to me a little bit. I think in that middle stint, granted, Scott, he was on heavier fuel than I was, but I was able to just stay with him, and I think that's what got me out in front of one of the racecraft cars as well. So, or the 95 cars, I should say. So, but no, it was really good overall, and starting from the back is always a bit of a challenge, but yeah, with the strategy, it works out well.
No, that's good, mate. And I'll start with you, Thomas. Anyone want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, to Fishy Boys, all our sponsors, Michael Whiting as well for jumping in with me as well and just having a dip, and well done to the top 3. As always, James Scott, Hobbo and Radu always have mega pay, so good work with the top 3 boys. Well done.
No worries. And Bradley, mate, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Of course. My team, 95 Sim Sports, Racecraft, Prestige Photography, RSW Graphics, Racing Ears, Beyond Blue, and Cutting Edge Tracks.
Not too easy. And I'm going to make you do the honours this week, James.
Yeah. All the guys at SSR, the car probably wasn't where it needed to be tonight, but we'll tune it up. The car's been feeling good, so I'm sure we're not too far out of the window. All our sponsors as well, Watercraft Performance Centre, Too Easy Finance, Dr. Epoxy, West End Motor Group, Works Racing Components, and yeah, obviously you guys for the broadcast and the series admin and the podium, and Tom as well for having a good race.
Absolutely. Great to have all you boys in. So next week we have 2 sprint races at Winton. Any thoughts about that, guys?
Horrific track.
Winton.
They should build a housing estate on it.
There's not that many people in Benalla.
Well, maybe some people will invest.
Can we save Sandown and just knock down Winton instead?
Yeah.
There's
plenty of land around. It's a Winton, yeah. No, it'll be interesting anyway. We've got the 60k and 100k format, so trying to mimic a little bit the sprint race and the feature race format, and it's the only second one we're doing for the season. And we've got Road Atlanta, Watkins Glen, and then the 49 lap race at Bathurst. So the season's starting to come to an end fairly quickly, and I think pressure's starting to build on James to finish off the hard start that he's had. And as we saw tonight, Paul Young in a little bit of a trouble a bit further back, and at Warboys away moving house, the podium for the championship is really starting to hotten up. So really looking forward to see what you boys can do. Want to say a quick thank you, of course, to the boys in race control and to Ash and Josh who run the series. Huge thank you to Mark for jumping in and bringing logic to all the stuff that I talk about. And of course, big thank you to everybody in the chat that have been on watching tonight. And I think we'll see everybody again next week. Hopefully there'll be no updates and we can go back to our usual time.
Yeah, cheers, John. Cheers to all the boys. Well done to the podium. And Thomas Freeman, great drive. And yeah, look forward to seeing some sprint racing at Winton.
Absolutely. We'll see you all again next week.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.